Hello, I'm Dr. Scott Watier.
And I'm Tommy Welling, and you're listening to the Fasting for Life podcast.
This podcast is about using fasting as a tool to regain your health, achieve ultimate wellness, and live the life you truly deserve.
Each episode is a short conversation on a single topic with immediate actionable steps. We cover everything from fat loss and health and wellness to the science of lifestyle design.
We started Fasting for Life because of how fasting has transformed our lives, and we hope to share the tools that we have learned along the way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Fasting for Life podcast. My name is Dr. Scott Watier, and I'm here as always with my good friend and colleague Tommy Welling. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Hey Scott, how are you?
Doing fantastic, my friend. Excited for today's conversation. The overarching theme of today is going to be if fasting isn't giving you the results you expected, ... It doesn't always mean fasting is the issue. So, welcome into the Fasting for Life podcast. If you are new, welcome. Thanks for giving us a shot. Happy you found us. We are on this fasting lifestyle journey with you. If you want to know more about why we do what we do with the podcast episodes, the resources on our website, the challenges, the coaching, that's because fasting transformed our lives. And now so many tens of thousands of other listeners and messages that we've gotten over the years. So if you want to know more about us and how it worked for us and why we do what we do, head back to episode 0, episode 1. About 30 minutes or less, you'll get the nuts and bolts of how powerful fasting can be. If you're a long-term listener, thank you so much for continuing to support your comments, likes, question submissions. Just so grateful to have you on this journey with us. 5 million podcast downloads and counting. Just so grateful. And I'm still, every time I say that or think of that, it still makes me just like, whoa, like how is that even possible, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Can't get my kids to listen to me, but so many of you listen in and week out, right? So let's get into the core message for today, Tommy, and then the 3 different kind of blockers that we see. And as always, we want you to walk away with 1 or 2 action items, not just thinking about, oh, that was cool info, but what can you do and put into your day-to-day life today or tomorrow or your next fast, right? And shift that mindset from on-off diet mentality to a long-term sustainable lifestyle is ultimately we want for each and every one of you. So here's the core message. When fasting isn't producing the expected results, the problem isn't often fasting itself, but the context around it. This lifestyle adaptation, what's going on around you, the environment, right? So the goal today is to help y'all identify the real blocker so you can make the smallest effective change instead of just, I just need to do longer fasts. I just need to push my windows. I just need to be more consistent. And that guilt, shame cycle, the weight of the weight loss journey that tends to stick into you, and then your monkey brain takes over and starts all the doubt and all those thoughts of what do I do? I'm doing it wrong. Oh man, it's not working. all of that kind of stuff. So we just want you to identify the real blocker, and there's 3 different main categories, so you can make the smallest effective change instead of just continuing to push those fasts longer.
Yeah, or even worse, feel like fasting's not for you, or it's just not working because there are so many other things that determine the results and the consistency over time. And then sometimes it's a matter of expectation not meeting reality. And we'll talk a little bit more about that also, because that's a big factor too, especially when you think of all the technology at our fingertips between AI and all these apps and things where we can say, okay, how much should I be losing? How quickly could I lose the weight? All of these kind of questions, and we're given a relatively simple, nice looking graph, a little chart that kind of sticks in our mind. That visual sticks in our mind, and when reality doesn't meet that expectation, then all of a sudden that can be demotivating. So we're gonna go a level or 2 deeper here. What's going on under the surface? What are those major contributing factors? And then, like you said, simply what to do about them.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's get into it. So 3 main things. When fasting isn't producing the expected results, right? To what you were just talking about, Tommy, we'll go back in the time machine here. You're bringing me back a little bit. But when we had this great idea to create this customized biometric 25-page PDF that was going to give you all of the nuts and bolts of everything you needed to lose the weight once and for all. So we put it out there, had a huge response, delivered 100
Hmm.
customized plans. Now, this was like a 30-minute intake asking you about all the different things that could affect your weight loss and your journey, what's going on in your life and how's your sleep and what
Hmm.
kind of work do you do and what are your stresses and what's your relationship with food and yada yada yada.
Your fasting
Your
experience.
fasting experience, were you a beginner and an avid faster, like what's your goals with fasting. And so we delivered all 100 of those very painfully
Oh
because
yeah.
it took a lot of time and attention, and it was a great learning process for us.
Yeah, but
And
it's what we were being asked to do. Like
yes,
it was like the fasting equivalent of a meal
of
plan,
a yes,
or like a nutritionist, like
a
an
macro guide.
in depth, just customized to the goals of the individual. And it was like this is what the demand was. So everyone thought that this is what they wanted. It's what they thought they needed, and it felt like okay, this is going to move the needle for a lot of folks, right?
And what we found was what the data clearly shows is that after 100 of those folks went through the process over the next 3 to 6 months, that only the 5% rule, right?
Hmm.
5% of the population keeps the weight off that a significant amount of clinically significant weight loss. You keep it off between that 2 and 3 year mark, and you don't get back on the regain train. So only 5%, much like the data shows, sadly worked for them. And we had a complete aha, oh bleep moment. Wait a minute, that's not the solution. We're thinking about this all wrong. And that's when the challenges came to life and the coaching came to life and some of the resources and how we shifted our focus on what's the best fast, what's the best food to eat, to more of what's in Marie Spreckley's research, which is it's the main buckets of life, the environmental, the motivation and the goal setting and the sleep and the stress and all the other stuff that allows you to stay consistent on taking quality actions on a day-to-day basis that gets you long-term results. So, setting the stage with that, here's the first bucket. Your fasting schedule that you're currently doing, if fasting isn't producing the expected results, or it was working and now it's not, your fasting schedule doesn't match your body, your physiology, or your lifestyle. Because a fasting plan to the story I just told, which pains me to tell, those 100 customized biometric fasting plans, a plan can be right on paper, but it still fails if it clashes with your work demand, stress load, sleep, training, family, life.
Hmm. I mean, even if it doesn't clash with those things, and all you have is the plan doesn't work itself, right? So
You have to
that's
work
like
the
that.
plan.
Yeah, that's step one for why it feels good to have a plan in our pocket, but then it can't do the work for you.
Do the plan.
Do the plan, and sometimes it can even be a problem to have an over engineered plan because it feels like all of the work has been done, all of the questions have been answered, there's no doubt in it, it's perfect, right? And the more perfect it feels in that moment, the less there is this urge to do
Urgency.
something with it, right? It can erase the urgency, but it goes doubly bad when the schedule or the plan doesn't match your body type or your lifestyle. Go back and listen to last week's episode where we talked about where you might have your insulin resistance, and so
Yep.
that could be a matter of your food choices not matching your
Yep.
body style, and the location of your insulin resistance. So these things are really important, and we've done episodes on shift work and other things that are like lifestyle factors that
Yep.
may be out of your control during a lot of the time
Chronically
anyway.
interrupted sleep from having young kids.
100%. I lived through that. I'm living through that.
You are.
But, I get
We're
like
kind of, we've moved out of that.
yeah,
So, yes, different season.
yeah, for first year of life, very, very interrupting in those sleep patterns. And so during those times, either those seasons or those parts of the week or parts of the month, if you're an offshore worker, if you travel across time zones, any of these things, you're a first responder, any of these things is like you can't just change that. But what you can do is you can adjust your fasting to fit it a
Yep.
bit, and you can also adjust your expectations, because if your lifestyle can't change and you're trying to regain your health, you're trying to drop some weight, whatever it is you're trying to do, rebalance your blood work, the expectation might be that the cards are stacked against you in that regard. And so the expectation might be, you know what, if I do everything right, I'll be maintaining here. I'll be maintaining my results, and maybe most of the week or most of the month, when these things are a factor, I'm not looking for the scale to be moving down. I'm just looking to maintain control of it,
Yep.
so it's not ticking up during those times. And then when the season changes, or during the time of the month when you have more control over the schedule, whatever it is for your personal case, then those can be the times where you can push it a little bit, or you can expect some downward movement on the scale, some sort of net change rather than just the maintenance. But if you don't kind of have those two gears in your mind for the expectations, it can get real frustrating real fast, and it can feel like fasting isn't working.
And so here's the reality, big picture, is that fasting isn't an easy button.
Yes.
It's a simplicity button. It removes the decision making and the food and improves your food relationships, and less time food prepping, and less late night binging and snacking and all those different types of things. So the plan can be right on paper, but it fails in its application, like you were just explaining, Tommy. So some people do better with shorter, more consistent windows than a longer one they can't sustain. Because the reality is the best fasting protocol is the one that fits your real life long enough to create consistency.
Yes.
And that's why we have the blueprint to fasting for fat loss. That's our foundational 20-page free PDF. We have it for you. It gives you a little science, gives you some different fasting schedules, how to ramp up, how to hydrate, all of those different types of things. Because the reality is that, yeah, the customized plan might work, but if it's constantly denying and omitting and restricting and feeling heavy, just like any other diet, it's going to fail. Right? So that's why we don't want that. So the first bucket is your fasting schedule doesn't match where you're at. So go back and listen to last week's episode about your physiology possibly, or your lifestyle, right? You've got too many yeses on the schedule, too many external environmental things that are poking into your plan saying, nope, not going to happen. Nope, not going to work. So
people pleasing can be a reason your fasting isn't working. 100%.
Too.
Yeah, perfectionism, that's a big one.
Yep.
And then, whether you're a shift worker or, something else with regards to your actual schedule, even just if sleep isn't much of a priority for you, because you and I both wore, hey, I don't need that much sleep as a badge of honor for many years in our lives, right? So if productivity or not focusing on sleep is part of your lifestyle or one of your choices, one of your kind of badges of honor, that in and of itself can be enough to disrupt your physiology enough to make fasting feel like it's not working, because your insulin sensitivity goes down up to 30% or more just with a couple of nights of either interrupted sleep or sub 6.5 hours of quality sleep. So if that's happening chronically, or that's just part of life for you, or that's just part of what you do, that can be enough. So just understanding you can continue to do that, and that's, it could be a personal choice or not. You can continue to do it, but to expect that you're going to see long-term net movement down on the scale might be unrealistic for you. And so if you can accept that fact that maybe that's the main reason why fasting has felt like it's not working, that's actually it's a good thing. It can be a hard pill to swallow. It was for me. It definitely took time, but it can be a really helpful one too, because then I can adjust my expectations, not lower the bar for myself, not make things like, not negotiate down with myself,
not kick the can down the road.
Correct. But appropriately adjust expectations so that I can continue to stay motivated and realistic. And then as I'm able to, improve sleep a little bit, feel a little bit better, have better insulin sensitivity, then expect that I'll see more net results during those times, or as I get better with my sleep prioritization. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. So the second bucket is the one that we find is most difficult for a lot of almost everybody. Is what you eat
a lot of almost everybody.
Yeah, right. I know, that was very succinct. What you eat outside the fast is working against you.
Oh,
so we say this when we do our challenges. Hey, don't go to the all-you-can-eat buffet and get all the favorite foods in before you're going to do a 7-day Master Your Fasting challenge with us. Because eating late, those types of things, alcohol, that's going to make the next fast way harder
Way harder.
because your fasting windows matter, but food quality and meal composition often determine whether those results actually show up. So your blood sugar swings, your post-meal dips, your cravings, your eating late to affect your sleep so you're sluggish or less likely to stick to the plan the next day. That's going to make fasting feel harder and reduce your progress because you're just not going to do the damn thing that you don't want to do as consistently as you need to. So highly processed foods, convenient foods, DoorDash, Instacart, restaurants, all under proteined and higher refined processed ingredients, which are going to make your fasting efforts much more difficult.
For sure. Protein's
Because
expensive.
fasting, go ahead.
I was going to say protein's expensive. So
Yeah.
it tends to get downplayed on the menu, and then it tends to get it's harder to add more protein because you're looking at prices on a menu.
Yep.
If you're ordering like that.
Protein is pricey and it doesn't happen by accident and it needs to be prepared.
Yep.
Protein is pricey and needs to be prepared. There's a fun alliteration in there. I don't know. I'm off my rocker today. So if meals are highly processed and under protein, fasting may feel like the issue when the real problem is your feeding and nutrition window.
Yeah, even just that idea that I need to refeed can be enough to set the
Feast,
stage.
fast, repeat. That
Yeah.
feast word to me is like, ooh, I
Feast.
don't know if some of y'all, that's not
Danger.
going to work for some.
That's dangerous for me. If I feel like it's it's some sort of window that's opening, it's
a
like
hall
a
pass.
slippery slope. Yeah, it's more of a door than a window. It's more of like a garage door or a hangar door than a window. That can be real tricky. So just knowing that what you do during that nutrition opportunity really sets the stage for the next fast. And we talk about this in regards to fast cycling rather than sporadic fasting, so that we can understand these are links in a chain, and they're all linked together. One meal is linked to the next meal, to the next fast, to the next meal, and so on and so forth, because one really determines the next. How good my fast is, how clean my fast is, determines what cravings that might show up during my next nutrition opportunity. And what I put on my plate during this meal really determines how easy or more difficult my next fast is, and so on and so forth. And also, how long did I pause the fat burning process for?
Yep.
How deeply out of ketosis did I get once I was already squarely in ketosis? Means I'm going to feel that metabolic switching. And when you feel the metabolic switching, it does make the process less enjoyable. It makes it tougher. It can make for more of that ick feeling after you break your fast. So feeling that tired and sluggishness, and then that becomes less motivating. I'm less excited to set my next fasting timer when
Yep.
I just felt like trash, right? I'm more like going, oh man, I'm just trying to get through the day now, or get through the hour, or when is my next meal, because maybe that one will make me feel better, because I don't feel better after this one. So it's tough. But when we think about it as links in a chain, that really kind of sets up the mental stage to make more good choices rather than less.
Yep. So bucket one, your fasting schedule doesn't match your physiology or your lifestyle, right? Bucket two is what you eat outside the fast could be working against you. And then the third bucket here is you're trying to push harder instead of adjust smarter. So more restriction is not always better. Sometimes it just increases the stress of it all, physiologically and emotionally, and makes the body and your ability to make good decisions and stick to the plan less responsive. So the better question is often what needs to change, rather than how do I just do another longer fast? How do I stay more consistent? How do I hit another longer fasting? How do I do a flame day? How do I do how to just push the fasting window? So it's not always how do I fast longer? It's like what truly needs to change. So like small strategy changes, like adjusting your meal timing from later to earlier, from dinner OMAD to more of a morning window.
Yeah.
Your meal composition, you're prioritizing your sleep or your recovery rather than just outperforming the brute force. Hey, I'm just gonna push my fasting window longer, or oh man, I just really need to do a reset. That kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, you know what's a tough cognitively to internalize is the idea that an extra hour or two of sleep might be more effective for you and your fasting lifestyle and the number that you see on the scale, rather than squeezing in your next 48-hour fast when it feels like it's tough to even get a 16-hour fast in cleanly. Because really just that extra hour or two can give you enough of the metabolic powerhouse revving up and actually doing its job within your body and burning through those long-term fat stores while insulin is low, especially if you kept the window clean. You cut it off before, let's say, 6 o'clock at night rather than 7 or 8 o'clock at night for your dinner, and then you got a little bit of extra sleep. That can be what it really takes to move the needle and feel better the next morning and stick to your next fast, rather than finding yourself, more tempted earlier in the fast because you're and just feeling like you need to white knuckle it through that next 36, that next 48, or that next 72. How many times have you thought, man, if I could just do a 72-hour fast right now, like that would solve all of my fasting or the way I'm feeling, my cravings, that would solve the issues. But it can feel impossible at that point. But there are other levers that look smaller, they feel smaller, but they're actually so much more efficient at getting us on track or getting us more consistent.
So, core message when we started: when fasting isn't producing the expected results, the problem is often not the fasting itself, but the context around it, right? So your fasting schedule doesn't match your physiology or your lifestyle currently. What you eat in your nutrition windows outside of your fasting is working against you. We hear this so often. The third one is you're trying to push harder instead of adjust smarter. So what do you do with this? Well, we got to first identify where the bottleneck is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that can help all three of these buckets, Tommy, is the hydration piece, right?
Oh, well, 100%. Hydration is so much at the forefront of what happens during your day and how you feel during the day, which is why we will never stop saying be intentional with your hydration first thing in the morning.
Not just, oh, I got to drink my gallon of water today, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely. So, supplementing with salt, using some sort of salt supplement, we like Redmond's Baja Gold. It could be a simple Himalayan Celtic salt from the grocery store. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. We also like Element and a few other things like that. If you haven't tried Element, grab the link in the show notes. And you get a free sample pack with your first box. So my favorite right now is probably pink lemonade. And then there's also you're not a fan. There's a lemonade iced tea. So if you like an Arnold Palmer, you're not. So what's your favorite? Is it still grapefruit?
It's still grapefruit, man.
Yeah,
it hasn't been
still
dethroned.
king.
It's grapefruit, and then it's raspberry, and then orange and citrus.
Okay, nice. Classic.
Everyone else loves the lemonade and the pink lemonade and the lemonade iced tea because there's a little bit of caffeine in that one. Actually, everybody loves them. I'm just the weirdo. So, but yes,
you're going against the grain with it.
Especially hot and humid Houston, it's important. Like proper hydration can help no matter which one of these blockers you're experiencing, right?
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is just start off the day with one decision. It's part of your fasting lifestyle. Get a little bit of deliberate hydration in before the tea, before the coffee, before you feel like you're back on track. Just put those things by the thing that you always go to in the morning. And then just do that. Take a couple of minutes and do that deliberately. Because yes, it's something slightly annoying, but it affirms to your subconscious thought process that your fasting lifestyle is important to you, and you can't argue with it. Once you've taken the action, you can't argue with that. So it's so much easier to take the next fasting action after that and more during the day. It's amazing how that simple thing can snowball in such a good way. But it also affects how you feel throughout the day. Cravings are lower when your hydration is better. When your hydration is better, you're also not chasing things like caffeine or just more water, which is then going to is going to require you to pee more.
And you lose the electrolytes and you feel more icky.
Yes, and it can also be sleep disruptive when you have to pee more also. So when your water intake is hydrating and it's not just more water, especially when insulin's low, remember that is going to push out more electrolytes. So we're going to need to bring some in, and the longer you're going without bringing in salt from your food, then the more the need becomes to supplement it regularly. And the same thing goes, as temperatures heat up and you spend more time, and if you're exercising or spending time outside, this is doubly important. So this is a huge one, and this one thing can literally be the linchpin, the thing that makes it feel like fasting isn't working because your hydration is not working.
And it's such an easy lever to pull. And there are some mornings that I don't want this first thing in the morning.
Right.
I want my damn coffee.
Sure.
But I know that if I go to coffee first, that mid-afternoon slump's going to hit. So this simple thing can help just overall, regardless if the fasting efforts it's like the results aren't matching the fasting expectations, or they were working and now it's stopped. This is one of the key foundational pieces, which is why we talk about it on day one of every single one of our challenges, is supplementing with good quality hydration, those mineral salts to keep those minerals in. Because when you go low carb and start stacking your fast and fast cycling and getting more consistent, you lose those minerals, which increases your hunger and your cravings and your brain fog and your hangriness and your fasting fatigue, right? So this is one that just overarching, no matter which bucket, if it's your fasting schedule isn't matching the current lifestyle, your nutrition choices get easier, or if you're just trying to push rather than adjust, hydration is going to blanket all of those buckets. So what do we do? What does this mean for you? Well, don't assume fasting is broken just because progress has stalled. You got to look at the full picture: schedule, food quality, stress, sleep, recovery, hydration. And the next step is not guessing. It's identifying the real bottleneck and adjusting it with intention, right? So adjusting those fasting times a little bit, moving the fasting window earlier in the day, removing the late night dinner OMAD and moving it to more of a midday OMAD. Changing those variables is going to give you some real-time feedback. It's going to make you feel better and ultimately make you stick with your fast longer, because consistently ultimately always wins. So it's not always the fasting. It's typically all the other fun stuff that we spend so many hours talking about, right? So whatever resonated with you from this episode, that's your action step. One or two things, not 10 for you overachievers out there.
Right.
Not a complete lifestyle overhaul.
Not a New Year's resolution.
Not to go blowtorch the pantry and start over, right? But what needs to change? Where is that bottleneck? Schedule, food quality, sleep, stress, recovery, hydration. Don't guess. Identify the bottleneck and adjust it with intention. If you're looking for more support, you can also grab the Blueprint to Fasting for Fat Loss. It's a 20-page PDF. It's free. It's on our website, thefastingforlife.com. It's also in the show notes. Grab that. It'll give you some really good foundational bumpers on the bowling alley analogy. If you're looking for more consistency and give you a little bit more excitement around this fasting lifestyle. So Tommy, man, I appreciate the conversation as always, and we will talk soon.
Thank you. Bye. So you've heard today's episode, and you may be wondering, where do I start? Head on over to thefastingforlife.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive fasting tips and strategies to maximize results and fit fasting into your day-to-day life.
While you're there, download your free Fast Start guide to get started today. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Fasting for Life.